Should have had some music on, but I don't have. Shalom, shalom, Shabbat shalom. Welcome to the Ark of the Covenant Assembly in South Jersey. Hopefully, you've had a beautiful week thus far, and the beginning of a new week. We are. What is this? The ending of another week, anyway. We hope that you've been blessed by y'all during the course of this week. Um, we've been talking about kingdom, and we're going to continue to talk about kingdom, but we're going to talk about the invisible kingdom, the things not seen. And so the question is, what can't you see? If I asked you, what can you see? And we were in a crowd, you would look around and say, I can see this and I can see that. Somebody would be in the park and say, I can see trees, I can see the sun, I can see the clouds. So I'm going to ask you a question even deeper than what can you see? What can't you see? You know that some people will recognize you from a distance. I have this is around that time of the year that spring happens and certain things happen. I used to be a runner, and when I ran, people could look at my what do they call it when you run, you walk, and your gait. Thank you, Neil. They could look at my gait and say, "Oh, I can tell by his gait. That's from a distance. That's Yechezk'el." And it's so deep that 20 years after being on the track, my daughter was running on a track, and someone recognized the gait of her run and looked down and saw her name, and said, that had to be, and they called me my slave name, that had to be him, Yechezk'el's daughter, because she got the same gait. I'm sorry, gait. And then this is that same time of year that where spring track happens. So we'll have the pin relays coming up in a month or so. We have some other relays, and it's also the same time of the year that we would have our national karate tournament. And I have had people come to me and says, I recognize you in the crowd by the way you walked, because you had the same, what's the word? Sound like like an offense, right? Same gait. They recognize the way I walk, and from a distance. Now the trick is, some things you see from a distance aren't always what they appear to be when you get close up. You see somebody from a distance that has the same gait that I have, and you may think that's me. And as I walk, you get closer, you recognize, oh, I thought you were, and then you recognize that you're talking to a different person. What you can't see sometimes is more important than what you see. Remember the blind person that was, Yahushua put salve on his eyes, and he opened his eyes, and he could see, but he could see people, but they look like trees. He said, go wash your eyes again, because you can see partially, but you can't see definite definitions, or you can't really see the what's really going on. 99, maybe 100% of us will open this book and will not be able to see something that we just read. Okay. So as you're reading, you're going to get insight. We open with prayer and we ask Yah to give us his Ruach, and that his Ruach would give us revelations so we can see, have better understanding. There are some people in the book that are called seers. They have a gift to see beyond the natural. You remember Elijah and his protege, and they saw the vast mass of army against them, and he was worried. The protege was, and he was like, "We're going to die," and he was like, "You couldn't see what Elijah could see," and Elijah said, "Open his eyes, y'all, so that he could see." And then when he opened his eyes again, he saw the massive army of Elohims around him, or angels around him. Most of us can't see. And then when someone can't see, I have a serious problem with my sight. Not a serious problem, but I have a problem with my sight. I've had this all my life. So sometimes I can't see, like, if I'm putting a needle or through a thread through a needle, I can't see the hole. Or if I'm trying to screw something loose, I'm probably better screwing something loose, taking my glasses off, and you'll see me like I'm struggling to see what's right in front of me, and then I'll have to take my glasses off, and I can see now. And this is imperative because for us to understand, because there's some things that are happening that some people look at this, I can see as clear as day, and someone else will look at this and say, I don't see it. You start describing who you are as a Hebrew, and I don't want to put a number to it. You can put the number to it, but there's a lot of people that will look at you and say, I don't see it. And then the people that have come to this awakening, when they open up the book, they're like, yeah, I've read, because they used to call him God. They're like, yeah, I've read this 1,000 times. I never saw this, but now I can see. All that because you're going to hear in the text Ezra asking to see some things, because he wants to be clear that he's headed in the right direction and that he's teaching the right thing. So when you have some people would call themselves atheists, it's not, they can't see because Yah has blinded him. That person is blind to truth. You can tell him 1,000 ways about truth, and most of them, the ones that I'm around, will tell you, "Oh, I already know that. I know this. I know that." They don't want to hear because they really believe that they know as much as they need to know, but they don't have the scales are still on their eyes. They can't see it. Sometimes it's futile to argue with some people because you'll be casting your pearls to swine. All right, so what can't you see? Keep that in the back of your mind as we read through this text. Second Ezra. Oh, I'm sorry. I'm so fast. I want to get into this so fast that I forgot. I have protocol, and I'm gonna keep my protocol. And since I didn't have one, we're gonna find one. Let's do Psalms 100. Tehillim 100. I was ready. Not that I found the shortest one. Benjamin, you there?
Yes, I'm there.
All right. I said 100. 101.
101? All right.
Yes.
Okay. All right. Tehillim chapter 101,
Yes.
verse 1. I will sing of mercy and judgment. Unto thee, O Yah, will I sing. I will behave myself wisely in a perfect way. Oh, when wilt thou come unto me? I will walk within my house with a perfect heart. I will set no wicked thing before my eyes. I hate the work of them that turn aside. It shall not cleave to me. A froward heart shall depart from me. I will not know a wicked person. Whoso frivolly slandereth his neighbor, him will I cut off. Him that hath an high look and a proud heart will not I suffer. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me.
Hold on. So hold on. Thank you. We're almost there, but it's spring. I saw this today. Someone posted, and they said it's spring time. It's time to clean up your friends. And then we read through this, and I'm like, oh, I get it. All right. It's springtime. It's time to clean up some of these people that you have and trying to have relationships with when he says, no, the wicked man and this and that. Nah, not today. Not this year. The year's getting ready to start, right? We're getting ready to walk into a new year. So let's try to walk in with a little less of that and a little more of what's coming up. Verse 7 and finish it out. 6.
Tehillim chapter 101, verse 6. Mine eyes shall be upon the faithful of the land, that they may dwell with me. He that walketh in a perfect way, he shall serve me. He that worketh deceit shall not dwell within my house. He that telleth lies shall not tarry in my sight. I will early destroy all the wicked of the land, that I may cut off all wicked doers from the city of Yah.
Okay, y'all serious about this. This particular person is serious about his relationship with y'all. It's like I will not entertain this person or these people. All right, Ezra, for Ezra or second Ezra. I'm having problems saying that.
I gotta read it. I can't say it. Esdras.
Esdras. It's like
Esdras.
Esdras.
I don't know.
Esdras. Esdras on.
I don't have it in my thing. What does it spell? ED.
Esdras.
Estrus. Yeah, I guess that's it.
Okay. Before we go any further, second Esdras was in the book. Was literally in the book. Was taken out of the book, and according to what is it? Encyclopedia says that Ezra was taken out by the Protestants because they didn't want to put more books in the Bible for their production. So they were slimming down the amount of books so that they would have a something that was more easier to less to print. I read this morning. I'm like, really? So they're like, maybe we can take that. That's like extra parts. We don't really need that today. So they didn't know, because I'm like, why did you take it out? That's my thought. You left Nehemiah, you left Ezra 1 and 2 in the book, but you took out 3 and 4. I wanted to know why. So there's really no reason why it was removed. And the original, because I want this to be very clear, the original writings was in Hebrew. But in 70 some AD, when the Catholic canonized it, they rewrote this and removed the Hebraic writings for Ezra. So when you read through it, let's be careful, because we know everything has been tampered with. Everything has been tampered with. Everything has the heathens' hands on it. And when the heathens touch it, they don't leave it without their fingerprint. Chapter 4. Read, sir.
For Ezra.
He's getting ready to start. We're not planning on staying long. I'm going to hit some points and get up out of here. But I really want you to pay attention to the words, because these are like what's going on, what you're getting ready to hear, and we're going to walk through it. You're going to see, hopefully, you're going to see what you haven't been able to see. So what can't you see? Figure it out as we go on. All right, read, sir. The angel.
And the angel that was sent unto me, whose name was Yisra'el, gave me an answer and said, your heart has gone too far into this world, and thank you to comprehend the way of El Elyon.
Okay, so before, we're talking about a scribe, someone that was writing the book, someone that was very well learned. And what is the first thing that the angel tells him? You have gone too far into the world, and yet you want to comprehend what's the kingdom. See, we want to talk about the kingdom, but we got I got goosebumps. I talked to an apostle once, and he says that was his title, apostle, and thus, and he said, I said, well, how come you see so much working of the Spirit in Africa, and you don't see it in that much in the United States? And he says, because the people in the United States are so caught up in world stuff. They're so caught up in the stuff of the world that it's like clusters of dust in your brain, and you're trying to weave around to get clarity. So there's something was happening in Esther's time that Esther wanted to see what's going on. Can you show me the kingdom, a little bit more of what knowledge? It's like, the first problem is your heart has gone so far into the world. And I'm going to leave that alone, because some of us know that you've seen some people that call themselves a religious, righteous person, but they're so caught up in the world. You're like, how are you walking like that and saying you this? All right, let's go. 3.
Then said I, yeah, my Lord. And he answered me and said, I am sent to show you the 3 ways, and to set forth 3 similitudes before you. Whereof, if you can declare me one, I will show you also the way that you desire to see.
Okay, so you've seen this. This reminds me of what is it? The genie in the bottle. I give you 3 wishes. I'm going to give you 3 things to look at, and if you can discern one of the 3, then I'll give you the answer that you're looking for. 4.
Whereof, if you can declare me one, I will show you also the way that you desire to see. And I shall show you from whence the wicked heart comes. And I said, tell on, my Lord. Then he said unto me, go your way, weigh me the weight of the fire, or measure me the blast of the wind, or call me again the day that is past.
Okay, so very clear. What is he asking for? How heavy is fire?
What book you're in? Ezra.
4 Ezra.
Chapter
4, verse
4 and 4. You there now?
Okay.
How heavy is fire? That's a question that people can't answer because fire doesn't have weight, right?
It does,
It does.
but how can you weigh it?
Yep. Because when something's on fire, you see it falling down, right? So it does have some weight, right? But you can't measure the heat.
If you had, my brain is working.
my,
That doesn't
my,
matter.
my son's trying to figure out how can you measure the weight of fire. Like there's got to be some kind of machine that can.
If you had a scale, right, you could put this table on the scale, find out the weight of it,
And then set it on fire?
Set it on fire, and then you can find it. But the weight should be equal because you're burning carbon.
I don't know, but as it burns, it gets lighter.
Yeah,
But the fire is still there.
yeah, but you're going to lose stuff because of the fire sends it up.
Okay, can you measure the blast of the wind? Now you can measure. You can see wind and the results of wind, and you can see it rev up, and you can see it max out and say push over a tree or something. But it's very difficult to keep it consistent in the air, in the atmosphere. You just see it come and go, but you can't really. I don't know. Can you measure weight? I mean, measure wind.
You would measure PSI.
You can, yeah, but doesn't it have to move something?
Yeah, that's what a PSI is.
Right. So it has to move.
It would be pressure for each square inch.
But that's not actually measuring the wind.
You would measure the force of the wind.
It measures the force of the wind.
I don't know. I'm not science.
And he's like, okay, so you're trapped in two scenarios. How about the third one? Can you recuperate the day? The day's over. 7:30 or 7 o'clock. The day is over. Can we make this day start over again and act like it didn't happen? Once it's in the past, it's gone. Okay. So he's giving them 3 things that are like unanswerable, and these answers are somewhere probably in heaven, but they're hard to be found here on earth. 8, 6.
Then answered I and said, what man is able to do that you should ask such things of me? And he said unto me, if I should ask you how great dwellings are in the midst of the sea, or how many springs are in the beginning of the deep, or how many springs are above the expanse, or which are the outgoings of paradise, purchase you would say unto me, I never went down into the deep, nor as yet into Sheol, neither did I ever climb up into heaven. Nevertheless, now have I asked you but only of the fire and the wind, of the day where though you have passed, and of the things from which you cannot be separated. And yet can you give me no answer of them? He said moreover unto me, your own things, and such are such as are grown up with you, can you not know? How should your vessel be able to comprehend the way of El Elyon, and the world being now outwardly corrupted, to understand the corruption that is evident in my sight? Then said I unto him, it were better that we were not at all, than that we should live still in wickedness and to suffer, and not to know wherefore. He answered me and said, I went into a forest, into the plain, and the trees took counsel, and said, come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may depart away before us, and that we may make us more woods. The floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel, and said, come, let us go up and subdue the woods out of the plain, that there also we may make us another country.
Hold on, before we finish this battle, because this is nature fighting against each other. Before we go there, he says, all these forces that I just brought to your attention were something that you grew up with. You've seen wind all your time. You've seen fire all your life. You've seen all these different things. and you can't explain some of the natural things that you grew up with, but yet you want to comprehend the way of Yah. I have people tell me, I don't know about the Bible because I don't believe in hell. I don't believe in it because you don't understand or you can't comprehend something. So now you say you don't believe it because you can't comprehend the way of Yah because you're caught up in the world. There's no way you will ever understand Yah and his ways, especially when your mind is all caught up with the things that you see and you can't even answer that. You will cause some things and you can't answer. So how are you going to answer Yah? And then Ezra's like, okay, this whole everything's just a mess. Place is wicked, people are wicked, and then he gives them a scenario of nature fighting against nature. Let's hear, because you can't see this yet. You're going to see something as we go on. Hopefully, if it doesn't do anything, it gives you a pattern to think.
16. The thought of the wood was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. The thought of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught, for the sand stood up and stopped them.
Go back to 15 first, and then because I broke you off in the middle of a thought.
The floods of the sea also in like
14.
14. And said, come, let us go and make war against this. This was the trees. He answered me and said, I went into the forest, into a plain, and the trees took counsel, and said, come, let us go and make war against the sea, that it may depart away before us, that we may make us more woods. The floods of the sea also in like manner took counsel and said, come, let us go up and subdue the woods of the plain, that there also we may make us another country. The thought of the wood was in vain, for the fire came and consumed it. The thought of the floods of the sea came likewise to naught, for the sand stood up and stopped them. If you were judged now betwixt these two, whom would you begin to justify, or whom would you condemn? I answered and said, truly it is a foolish thought that they both have devised, for the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea also has a place to bear his floods. Then answered he me, and said, you have given a right judgment, but why judge you not yourself also? For like as the ground is given unto the wood, and the sea is to his floods, even so they dwell upon the earth may understand nothing but that which is upon the earth. He that dwells above the heavens may only understand the things that are above the height of the heavens. Then I answered and said, I beseech you, O Yahuwah, let me have understanding, for it was not my mind to be curious of the high things, but of such as pass by us daily, namely, wherefore Yisra'el is given us up as a reproach to the heathen, and for what caused the people whom you have loved is given over wicked nations, and why the Torah of our forefathers has brought to naught, and written covenants come to no effect.
Now here is a good place to stop. He's like, I wasn't trying to get smart. I wasn't trying to get understanding on something that, like, I know that there's things that are beyond my thought. I know that I can't understand the skies and the earth. And guess what? The world is still struggling to try to figure that out. They still haven't dived all the way to the bottom of the ocean. And they haven't been able to explore much more than what they call outer space, than just the crust. And Ezra's like, I'm not trying to get that deep, but I'm trying to figure out, why did you forsake us and let the heathen reign over us? Now we're talking to today, because it's like, I feel in the same way Ezra's feeling. Like, why are these heathens reigning over us like this? And when we try to keep covenant, it comes to naught. It's like it's almost like we're wasting our time. I'm looking at I get up and I read articles this morning and I'm looking at stuff and it was like, this is still happening today. We're still experiencing this now. Like we're trying to get up. They're coming after us. Our own people are struggling. The ones that are trying to keep covenant. I found that I just saw that there was some Hebrew Israelites trying to keep covenant, moved to Ghana, and they had their land taken from them by those Africans because it's the other nations are always against us anymore, and it seems like no matter what we do, it comes to naught. Comes to naught. We just like, and I'm like Ezra. I'm like I don't want to really know all the deep things, and I realize there are some things in heaven that are set up for people in heaven. In heaven, there are some things that are in Sheol or designed for them. I'm not trying to get deep. I'm just trying to find out why we're in this mess and it seems like we can't get out.
24. And we pass away out of the world as grasshoppers, and our life is astonishment and fear, and we are not worthy to obtain mercy. What will he then do unto his name whereby we are called? Of these things have I asked. Then answered he me, and said, the more you search, the more you shall marvel. For the world hastens fast to pass away, and cannot comprehend the things that are promised to the righteous in time to come. For this world is full of unrighteousness and infirmities.
So the world cannot see what's going on around them. They can't, the word is comprehend. They can't see what's going to happen to the righteous. They're missing it. But you should be able to see this. And you're going to see what Yah's actually going to explain to you why he's allowing us to go through the mess we go through. 28.
But as concerning the things whereof you ask me, I will tell you. For the evil is sown, but the destruction thereof is not yet come. If therefore that which is sown be not turned upside down, and if the place where the evil is sown pass not away, then cannot it come that is sown with good. For the grain of evil seed has been sown in the heart of Adam from the beginning, and how much wickedness has it brought up unto this time, and how much shall it yet bring forth until the time of threshing come? Ponder now by yourself how great fruits of wickedness the grain of evil seed has brought forth. And when the ears shall be cut down, which are without number, how great a floor shall they fill? Then I answered and said, how and when shall these things come to pass? Wherefore are our years few and evil? And he answered me, saying, do not you hasten above Elyon, for your haste is in vain to be above him, for you have much exceeded. Did not the souls also of the righteous ask questions of these things in their chambers, saying, how long shall I hope in this fashion? When comes the fruit of the floor of our reward? And unto these things Yisra'el the archangel gave them answer and said, even when the number of the seeds is filled in you, for he has weighed the world in the balance. But by measure has he measured the times, and by number has he numbered the times. He does not move nor stir them until the said measure be fulfilled. Then answer I.
So when things are happening and you don't see movement, it's not done. You think it's over, and y'all's like, no. And he won't move. He's allowing things to occur. And we're going to get into this a little bit deeper, but he's just sitting back and just letting it go. I'm just waiting. I'm waiting. You have kids. If you ever had multiple kids, you can sometimes see that one of them is getting ready to get in trouble. And you just sit there and you just wait. I'm waiting it out because I know he getting ready to do something, and as soon as he does, I'm gonna get it. But I'm gonna wait it out, and I'm waiting, and sooner or later, he sure enough smacks her in the head, and I said, I knew that was coming because you could see it all unfold. Yah is looking at humanity like that, and he's allowing certain things to happen till it's reached its cutoff point. Verse 38.
38. Then answered I and said, O Yahuwah Adonai, we all are full of sin, and for our sakes purchase is that the floors of the righteous are not filled, because of the sins of them that dwell upon the earth. So he answered me and said, Go your way to a woman with child, and ask her when she has fulfilled her 9 months, if her womb may keep the birth any longer within her. Then I said, No, Adonai, that she cannot, that can she not. And he said unto me, In Sheol the chambers of souls are like the womb of a woman. For like a woman that travails makes haste to escape the necessity of travail, even so do these places hasten to deliver those things that are committed unto them. From the beginning, look, what you desire to see, it shall be shown to you. Then I answered and said, If I have found favor in your sight, and if it be possible, and if I be meat thereof, show me then whether there be more to come that is past, or more past than is to come. What is past I know, but what is for to come I know not. And he said unto me, Stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto you.
Okay, so he's like, I can see what happened in the past, but I can't see what's going to happen in the future. You're going to get to the point that you see that wide gap, that there was a wide gap to walk into righteousness. And when Adam came, that gap had became narrow, so narrow that it was a small gap. And that small gap is the gap that we walk through now. It's and in going through that small gap, it's a travail. It's a certain amount of, it's just like a mother having given birth. It's going to be a tight squeeze for us to get into the righteous walk of Yah. But before it was easy. It was a simple path. Because of Adam's behavior, all of us now have to struggle into this righteousness. So let's go. Where are we at? Show me the path.
45.
45.
Show me then whether there be more to come than is past, or more past than is to come. What is past I know, but for what is to come I know not. And he said unto me, Stand up upon the right side, and I shall expound the similitude unto you. So I stood and saw, and behold, a hot burning oven passed by before me. And it happened that when the flame was gone, I looked, and behold, the smoke remained still. After this, there passed by before me a watery cloud, and sent down much rain with a storm. And when the stormy rain was past, the drops remained still. Then said he unto me, Consider with yourself, as the rain is more than the drops, and as the fire is greater than the smoke, but the drops and the smoke remain behind. So the quantity which is past did more exceed. Then I prayed and said, May I live, do you think, until that time? Or what shall happen in those days? He answered me and said, As for the tokens whereof you ask me, I may tell you of them in part. But as touching your life, I am not sent to show you, for I do not know it.
Okay, so let's clarify this water and the fire. More people die in the fire. When people die in the fire, they don't die from fire. Where do people die in the fire from, Neil?
Smoke inhalation.
Yeah, from the smoke. It's not the fire, because fire, you touch the fire. That's not the fire. The fire don't kill you. The smoke kill you. In the rain, more people die from rain exceeding amount of rain, not from the rain, but from the results of the rain. They could sit under an umbrella and watch the rain drop for 40 days and 40 nights. That's not an issue. The rain doesn't, unless it's fire and brimstone. The rain's not killing you, but the results of the raindrops are once they hit the ground and they accumulate and they keep accumulating, and then you don't have any place to go. Now you drown. You don't drown from a raindrop. You drown from the results of the raindrops. All right. One last chapter. We're only doing 2 chapters today. And look at my time. Okay, we got good time. Nevertheless,
as coming to tokens, behold, the days shall come that they which dwell upon the earth shall be taken in a great number, and the way of truth shall be hidden, and the land shall be barren of belief. But iniquity shall be increased above that which you now see, or that which you had heard long ago. And the land that you see now have to root shall you see wasting suddenly. But
so in verse 1 of chapter 5, he says there's going to be a great removing or taking away of people, right? And when that happens, the way of Torah will be hidden. There'll be just a few people that actually understand Torah and walk in it. And then on top of that, there's going to be a barren. Barren is like giving lack of the ability of give birth. You can't give birth because you're barren, right? There will be a barren of true belief. So there's going to go at this given moment, there's going to be a lack of people believing in Torah, and there's going to be a lack of true believers, and then there's going to be a great taken away of people being removed from this planet. You see people being removed from the planet already. You see the lack of people believing in Torah, and you also see the lack of people believing in anything. Even Christians schools are shutting down because they're like, we don't have believers, because there's going to be a great falling away from anybody that believes anything. That's verse 1. And iniquity will increase. It's going to get worse and worse. So when you see the LGBTQ, and all this stuff happening, you should expect it. I'm grateful that even today, Yah has given us other people to fellowship with, that are trying to hold tight to the way and not veering off in some weird imagination that someone has come up with.
Verse 4.
Mm-hmm.
But if El Elyon grant you to live, you shall see after the third shofar that the sun shall suddenly shine again in the night, and the moon thrice a day, and the blood shall drop out of the wood, and blood shall drop out of wood, and the stone shall give his voice, and the people shall be troubled, and even he shall rule, whom they look not for that dwell upon the earth, and the fowl shall take their flight away together. And the Sinamish sea shall cast out fish and make a noise in the night, which many have not known, but they shall all hear the voice thereof. There shall be a confusion also in many places, and the fire shall be oft sent out again, and the wild beasts shall change their places, and the menstruous woman shall bring forth monsters.
When I hear this, you can see these animals out of work, not like acting out of place, and you can. And I want to get through. I got 50 verses to get through, But I want to stop here. And the minstrous women will raise monsters. Some of the things that are happening in Israel by the children, it's monstrous. Where they're killing each other and they're treating each other like beasts.
Steph said that we were looking at YouTube news. They were like a shootout got caught in on camera in Philadelphia, and like I saw it. So
Speak up so they can hear you.
we were looking at YouTube and the news on YouTube, and it popped up. It says shootout got caught on camera in gas station. So I clicked on it. It was in Philadelphia, so I thought like, oh, I might know where that gas station is. And I don't even understand who was shooting who, but this shootout happened, and Steph looked at the TV and said, "Why are they so young?
They're little kids. They're like monsters." There was a report that a 12-year-old shot a 13. It's these women are giving birth to babies, and the babies have almost turned into a monster. It's getting worse. It's getting worse. It's like now, if I go to Philadelphia, there's young girls. Young girls used to go to get their hair done or something. Young girls are walking down the street and attacking people like animals. This lady says, I live in Philadelphia and I'm kind of scared. I think I'm gonna move out of Philadelphia because these people are just going around, and they got it on video. They're not even grown. They're monsters. They're like, you know how you take it. If you take a set of dogs and you have them and they're not trained, and one dog bites, sometimes all the dogs will be going after you. This is what happens. The people have become taking on traits of other species. All right, let's read through this. I'm gonna keep quiet. 8, 9.
And salt water shall be found in the sweet.
All right. So I'm sorry. Salt water should be found in the sweet. There are some places where there was lakes, and they said the lakes have now changed, and now salt water is coming in. There's what do you call it? Sharks. Sharks are like, well, I only stay in the salt water, but they're coming into fresh water now and attacking people in fresh water because it's reading what you just read is actually starting to happen. All right, I'm sorry. Verse 9.
And salt water shall be found in the sweet, and all friends shall destroy one another. Then shall wit hide itself, and understanding withdraw itself into his secret chamber, and shall be sought of many, and yet not be found. Then unrighteousness and incontinency be multiplied upon the earth. One land also shall ask another and say, is righteousness that makes a man righteous going through yet? And they shall say, no. At the same time shall men hope, but nothing obtain. They shall labor, but their ways shall not prosper. To show you such tokens I have leave. And if you will pray again and weep as now and fast even days, you shall hear yet greater things. Then I awoke, and an extreme fearfulness went through all my body, and my mind was troubled, so that it fainted. So the angel that was come to talk with me held me and comforted me, and set me up upon my feet. And in the second night it came to pass that Shealtiel, the captain of the people that came unto me, saying, where have you been? And why has your countenance so heavy? Why is your countenance so heavy? Know you not that Yisra'el is committed unto you in the land of their captivity? Up then, and eat bread, and forsake us not, as the shepherd that leaves his flock in the hands of the cruel workers. Then said I unto him, go your ways from me, and come not nigh. And he heard what I said, and went from me. And so I fasted 7 days, mourning and weeping, as Yisra'el, the angel, commanded me. And after 7 days, so it was that the thoughts of my heart were very grievous unto me again. And my soul recovered the Ruach by Nah, and began to talk with El Elyon again.
And that's just go ahead.
That's the spirit of understanding.
So the spirit of understanding came back to him. Let's see what's going on here. What is his purpose? If you read through earlier, you'll find out he's a scribe. He was called to preach. He was getting disheartened because he's looking at the people and he's like, oh my goodness, this is just a mess. You know how hard it is sometimes for some of y'all's preachers to preach, because we see this destruction all around us and we're like, no one's listening. And he got to the point that he had to literally take a 7-day fast just to get clearer understanding, because he had seen the monsters out there. He's seen what was going on. And it's like, I'm just trying to hold my head together. And maybe he already said something about it coming to naught. So it's like 7 days fast to clear his mind and to regain the spirit of understanding. 23.
And said, O Yahuwah Adonai, of every wood of the earth and of all the trees thereof, you have chosen one only vine. And of all the lands of the whole world, you have chosen one pit. And of all the flowers thereof, one lily. And of all the depths of the sea, you have filled one river. And of all built cities, you have hollowed Zion unto yourself.
Okay. But God loves everybody. Now you're going to see something where Yah himself created all mankind. Yah himself has chosen one people. He's chose and he breaks it down. He's like, the flowers and the trees and all this, and you chose one of this and one of this and one of that, and you've chose one people. This same one that is a jealous picked one and said, you were mine. So let's read this. 26.
And of all the fowls that are created, you have named one dove. And of all the cattle that are made, you have provided one sheep. And among all the multitudes of people, you have gotten one people. And unto this people you have loved. You have gave one Torah that is approved of all. And now, O Yahuwah, why have you given this one people over unto many? And upon the one root you have prepared others. And why have you scattered your only one people among many?
Okay, so I love Ezra, because Ezra is right back. Ezra's focused on one thing from the very beginning to now. He's like, well, wait a minute. You have chosen one people, and then you've given us your word, your Torah, which everybody understands the Torah. No one ever says, don't keep the, I was going to say, no one ever said back then, don't keep the Torah because the Torah is wicked. That's a new thing. That's a thing that we hear today. He's like, everybody was in agreement. The Torah was for us. And we kept the Torah. I mean, we didn't keep it. We broke it. But we knew that the Torah was ours. It was the one Torah. It was the one law that you gave us to one people. He's making this very clear that it's one, that there's only one Israel. Not the church in Israel. And no, there's only one Israel. All right, let's go. Verse 29.
And they which did gainsay your promises and believe not your covenants have trodden them down. If you did so much hate your people, yet you should punish them. Yet should you punish them with your own hands. Now, when I had spoken these words, the angel that came to me at the night afore was sent unto me. and said unto me, Hear me, and I will instruct you. Hearken to the thing that I say, and shall tell you more. And I said, Speak on, my Adonai. Then said he unto me, You are sore troubled in the mind of for Yisra'el's sake. Love you that people better than he that made them. And I said, No, Adonai, but of very grief have I spoken. For my mind pains me every hour, while I labor to comprehend the way of El Elyon, and to seek out part of his judgment. And he said unto me, You cannot. And I said, Wherefore, Adonai? Whereunto was I born then? And why was not my mother's womb then my grave, that I might not have seen the travail of Yaakov, and the wearing some toil of the stock of Yisra'el? And he said unto me, Number me the things that are not yet to come. Gather me together the dross that scattered abroad. Make me flowers green again that are withered. Open me the places that are closed. Bring me forth the winds that are in them that are shut up. Show me the image of a voice, and then I will declare to you the thing that you labor to know. And I said, Oh, Yahuwah Adonai, who may know these things, but he is not dwelling with men. As for me, I am unwise. How may I then speak of these things? Whereof you ask me? Then said he unto me, Like as you can do none of these things that I have spoken of, even so you cannot find out my judgment, or in the end of Jeez, I can't talk today.
Zoom went down.
Oh,
You never plugged it in.
should be back up now.
Yeah,
You're back.
Sorry. So Ezra, hold that point. Ezra's kind of like, I'm just a dummy. I can't answer all these questions. I can't answer all these puzzles that you're throwing out in front of me. But I do know that my heart is tormented by what's happening to my people, and I just want to know what's like. Is there a way out? And if you really love your people, why are you allowing them to go through so much travail? Help me to understand.
Verse 40.
Verse 40.
Then said he unto me, Like as you can do none of these things that I have spoken of, even so you not find out my judgment, or in the end the love that I have promised unto my people. And I said, Behold, O Yahuwah, yet you are nigh unto them that reserve till the end. And what shall they do that have been before me, or we that be now, or they that shall come after us? And he said unto me, I will liken my judgment unto a rain, like as there are no slackness of the last, even so there is no swiftness of the first. So I answered and said, Could you not make those that have been made and be now, and that are to come at once, that you might show your judgment and the sooner? Then answered he me, and said, The creature may not haste above the maker, neither may the world hold them at once that shall be created therein. And I said, as you have said unto your servant, that I to you, which give life to all, have given life at once to the creator that you have created, to the creature that you have created, and the creature bore it. Even so, it might now also bear them that now be present at once. And he said unto me, Ask the womb of a woman, and say unto her, If you bring forth children, why do you it not together, but one after another? Pray her, therefore, to bring forth 10 children at once. And I said, She cannot, but must do it by a distance of time. Then said he unto me, Even so have I given the womb of earth to those that be sown in it in their times. For like as a young child may not bring forth the things that belong to the age, even so I have disposed the world which I created. And I asked and said, seeing you have now given me the way, I will proceed to speak before you. For our mother, of whom you have told me that she is young, draws now nigh unto age. He answered me and ask a woman that bears children, and she shall tell you. Say unto her, wherefore are unto they whom you have brought forth like those that were before, but less of stature? And she shall answer you. They that be born in the strength of youth are one fashion, and they that are born in the time of age, when the womb fails, are another wise. Consider therefore also how ye are less of stature than those that were before you, and so that they come after you are less than ye, as the creatures which now begin to old and have passed over the strength of youth. Then said I, Adonai, I beseech you, if I have found favor in your sight, show your servant by whom you visit your creature.
Okay, so now we have a problem because we really haven't answered the question, and I realize that this is a lot that we're trying to absorb, but because Ezra's still trying to figure out what's going on, how come Israel is in the dilemma that they're in, and Yah breaks down creation and says there's a given time for everyone to give birth, just like a mother can't give birth to 10 children at one time. All Israel is being born a generation after a generation after a generation, and out of that generation, Israel's coming out 1, 2, 3, 4, and multiple generations. Y'all could have made it all happen at once, but he's allowing it to increase in time, in his time. He talked about his time earlier. How's your voice doing?
Good. I was just looking at
Reading ahead?
No, I was reading behind. He said how Asher asked the world how they were born when the world was young, so they were stronger, and now that
It answers a lot of things that
I don't know how to put that.
people thought. It's like when it said there, when you have a child when you're young. So when women have babies when they're in their late teens, early 20s,
Yes.
the birth is easier and the children are stronger.
Yes.
The older the woman gets, the harder the birth is, and the children are probably more likely to have be weaker and then wind up with some kind of problem. So so is the world. So the people who were born at the beginning of time
Were younger,
were
they were
very
stronger,
right? And
lived longer.
The longer the earth we're on this earth, people are getting weaker and weaker, and as they're being born, and so because we're like, I've heard people say a lot of things about that because of sin in the world, that people are weaker, like God is not making us to live as long and all that. But this is saying that it's a natural progression.
It's a natural progression. So when as someone that's I'm 65, and I see the strength that I have at 65, and I see younger people, and I'm like, people often are like, "You still working?" Like, yeah. What's so strange about that? I'm not supposed to be in a wheelchair, right? And then they see the work that I do, and they're like, "You can do all that?" Because most young people can't carry the same weight. And it's like, I thought it was just like an odd thing, but now I can see that just in that short period of time, just 60 some years, you can see the difference in most people. It's like the younger generation don't have that the strength of the older generation.
Physical strength.
They're literally physical strength. I I was joking with a kid this week, young adult, and another guy's like, "Don't mess with him. He's like, um, he got multiple black belts, and he had his hands up, and so I hit him in a pressure point. I said with an index finger, and I said I was just getting ready. I saw you put your hands up. I was going to get you with one of your pressure points, and I jabbed him, and he almost went to his knees, and he went down. And I was like, oops. And I had to look back twice to make sure he was okay because we were at work. But I'm like, that's crazy that the next generation is not as strong, and it's weird, and it seems like it's rapidly getting something we can see it. Like it's not something that you can just imagine. Well, people used to live 500 years. Well, they're talking biblical times, but so let's just talk about the last 100 years. You know, the people came out of slavery, and they were those people lived 100 and some years old. They didn't have records, so they don't know how old they were. They just knew this person's been around for over 100 years. 130. My aunt is 96, and she's still rocking it. You would think like used to be in a wheelchair. She's still getting up and doing her thing. All right.
I was telling Steph about Papa. I said that me and Keenan, we get off the bus, and she was like, it's funny. She said, what did you do? Because Savage Ave. I was like, we didn't go home because Papa will put me and Keenan to work. And she was like, she asked the stuff that we did. She's like, we like always, there was always first. I only remember the hard stuff.
Mhm.
I'm always like, there was always a tree that he wanted to cut down. Like maybe it was just one time that he made me and Keenan cut down a tree, but I was like,
you never forget it.
Yeah, how many trees did he have back there? He made us build that grill in the back. He always had hard work for us to do. And Steph said, I was like, he would work us so hard, me and Keenan, that I wouldn't even mind going home to my dad that made us like rake the yard. Because I was like, raking the yard is nothing, Steph said, did he ever say I love you? I laughed. I was like, that was for like the woman. That was for grandma and mommy. They tell us they love us. Papa put us to work, and he beat us.
Right.
It sounds horrible, but
his action for love was different than like he would show you, because he knew that hard work make a good man. You hear that? Hard work make a good man. So do we have to go? Can I go any further, or do I need to stop? Let's listen to my audience. You guys got to go?
No, we're good.
All right, let's read chapter 6 because I read through it, but there was something I didn't want to just jump into this. But 6 talks about the beginning, and like we just talked about the earth when it was new and fresh, and let's just read. In the beginning,
he said unto me, in the beginning, when the earth was made, before the borders of the world stood, and or over ever the winds blew, before it thundered or lightened, or ever the foundations of paradise were laid, before the fair flowers were seen, or ever the movable powers were established, before the innumerable multitude of angels were gathered together, or ever the heights of the air were lifted up, before the measures of the expanse were named, or ever the chimneys in Zion were hot, and ere the present years were sought out, or ever the inventions of them that now send were turned, before they were sealed that have gathered belief for a treasure. Then did I consider these things, and they were all made through me alone. and through none other. By me also they shall be ended, and by none other.
So no, you can't. I know man thinks so highly of themselves. I'm going to destroy the world. You can't. I don't care what kind of nuclear bombs you got. I don't care what other bombs you got. You can't destroy the world because they were created by Yah, and he said they won't be destroyed until I destroy it. Right? Go.
7. Then
7.
answered I and said, what shall be the parting asunder of the times? Asunder of the times. Or when shall the end of the first and the beginning of it that follows? And he said unto me, from Abram unto Yechezk'el, when Yaakov and Esau were born of him, Yaakov's hand held first the heel of Esau, for Esau is in the end of the world, and Yaakov is the beginning that follows.
Okay, now you're getting ready to get into some spiritual thing here. There's a people that are leading that ought not be leading. One's the beginning and one's the ending.
10. The hand of man is betwixt the heel and the hand. The other question Esau asked you not. I answered then and said, O Yahuwah Adonai, if I have found favor in your sight, I beseech you, show your servant the end of your tokens, whereof you showed me part of the last night. So he answered and said unto me, stand up upon your feet and hear a mighty sounding voice, and it shall be as it were a great motion, but the place where you stand shall not be moved. And therefore, when it speaks, be not afraid, for the word is of the end, and the foundation of the earth is understood. And why? Because the speech of these things trembles and is moved, for it knows that the end of these things must be changed. And it happened that when I heard it, I stood up upon my feet and hearkened, and behold, there was a voice that spoke, and the sound of it was like the sound of many waters. And it said, behold, the days come that I will begin to draw nigh, and to visit them that dwell upon the earth, and will begin to make inquisitions of them, when they be that have hurt unjustly with their unrighteousness, and when the affliction of Zion be fulfilled, and when the world that shall begin vanish away shall be finished, then will I show you these tokens. The Sepharim shall be opened before the expanse, and they shall see all together.
Okay, when the suffering of Zion is fulfilled. We're going to get into this a little more. You're going to hear more of that. The suffering of Zion being fulfilled. All right, 22, 21.
21. And the children of a year old shall speak with their voices. The woman with child shall bring forth untimely children of 3 or 4 months old, and they shall live and be raised up. And suddenly shall the sown places appear unsown. The full storehouses shall suddenly be found empty, and the shofar shall give a sound, which when every man hears, they shall suddenly be afraid. Excuse me. At that time shall friends fight one against another like enemies, and the earth shall stand in fear with those that dwell therein. And the springs of the fountains shall stand still, and in 3 hours they shall not run. Whosoever remains from all these that I have told you shall escape and see my Yeshua and the end of the end of your world. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth.
This thing died. Is this on? You gave me the thing, but it was off.
You're still alive?
Huh?
We're still on.
We're still on. I'm going to have to go off and go. Can you open up YouTube on that? Because mine died completely here.
What, YouTube?
I mean Zoom.
I have Zoom open.
Can they see you?
Yes.
Can you bring them over here? Because I don't have Zoom. My Zoom shut down. Got to turn the mic on. Sorry about that. I had it plugged in, but I had my thing plugged in, but it wasn't the what do you call this thing? Wasn't turned on. Surge protector was turned off. Sorry. Come on.
26. Ezra 4, 6, 26. And the men that are received shall see it, who have not tasted death from their birth. And the heart of the inhabitants shall be changed, and turned into another meaning. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched.
So that shofar blowing is going to usher in a new time. Everything will change. Something has to drastically change, because at this time, all that we know will be different. All wickedness will be subdued. And the wickedness in your heart will actually be erased, so that you'll be able to walk in a life, something that we can't even understand, comprehend. We can't comprehend the things. This is what he tried to tell him before he even got into the conversation. He's like, you can't even understand things that are natural. So when we start talking about things that what's going to happen after that shofar sound, in Revelations talks about the shofar being sound. You're going to hear the shofar being sound in Yechezk'el. You're looking at it in this book. And when this shofar sounds, it's something that's going to make a drastic change. And the difference in the New Testament is just as a trumpet. In the Old Testament, it says shofar. And unless you're reading a book that's going to tell you, translate it into that. All right. Where are we at? 30?
28. Well, 27 I'll read. For evil shall be put out, and deceit shall be quenched. As for belief, it shall flourish. Corruption shall be overcome, and the truth, which has been so long without fruit, shall be declared. And when he talked with me, behold, I looked by little and little upon him before whom I stood. And these words said he unto me, I am come to show you the time of the night to come. If you will pray yet more and fast 7 days again, I shall tell you greater things by day that I have heard.
Yeshua, hold on a minute. Yeshua said some things only come by fasting and praying. And in this case, Ezra couldn't get but so far with 7 days fasting. He got a little bit of information. He told him, you want some more? Take another 7 days off. There's a special healing that takes place with fasting that we can't even comprehend what happens. But the one thing that's happening with the renewing of one of our Akotis is she's fasting, and as you fast, you're renewing something, you're restoring something to the inner man. I'm sorry. Go. 31.
If you will pray yet more and fast 7 days again, I shall tell you greater things by day than I have heard. For your voice is heard before El Elyon. For El has seen your righteous dealing. He has also seen your chastity, which you have had ever since your youth. And therefore has he sent me to show you all these things, and to say unto you, be of good comfort and fear not, and hasten not with the times that are past to think vain things, that you may not hasten from the latter times. And it came to pass after this that I wept again, and fasted 7 days in like manner, that I might fulfill 3 weeks which he had told me. And in the 8th night was my heart vexed within me again, and I began to speak before El Elyon, for my ruach was greatly set on fire, and my soul was in distress. And I said, "O Yahuwah, you spoke from the beginning of the creation, even the first day, and said thus, let heaven and earth be made, and your word was a perfect work. And then was the ruach, and darkness and silence were on every side. The sound of man's voice was not yet formed. Then command you a fair light to come forth of your treasures, that your work might appear. Upon the second day you made the ruach of the expanse, and commanded it to part asunder, and to make division betwixt the waters, that one part might go up, and the other remain beneath. Upon the third day you did command the waters should be gathered in 7 parts upon the earth. 6 parts have you dried up and kept them, to the intent of these some being planted of Elohim, until that might serve you. For as soon as your word went forth, the work was made. For immediately there was great and innumerable fruit, and many had a diverse plant pleasures for the taste, and flowers unchangeable colors, and odors wonderful smell. And this was done by the third day. Upon the fourth day you commanded that the sun should shine, and the moon give her light, and the stars shall be in order. And you gave them charge to do service unto man that was to be made. Upon the 5th day you said unto your 7th part, where the waters were gathered, that it should bring up forth living creatures, fowls and fish. And so it came to pass. For the dumb water and without life brought forth things at the commandment of Elohim, that all people might praise your wondrous works. Then did you ordain 2 living creatures, the one you called Behemoth, and the other you called Leviathan, and did separate the one from the other, Behemoth, and did separate one from the other, for the 7th part, namely, where the water was gathered together, and might not hold them both. Unto Behemoth you gave 1 part, which was dried up on the 3rd day, that he should dwell upon the same part, wherein 1,000 hills. But to Leviathan you gave a 7th part, namely the moist, and have kept him to be devoured, of whom you will and when. Upon the 6th day you gave commandment unto the earth, that before you it should bring forth beasts, cattle, and creepy things. And after these Adam also, whom you made Lord of all creatures, of him come we all, and the people also whom you have chosen. All this have I spoken before you, O Yahuwah, because you have made the world for our sakes. As for the other creatures, which also come of Adam, you have said that they are nothing, but be like a spittle, and have
Where you at? Verse what?
56.
56. Read that again. Of the other what?
As for the other nations, which
Okay, because I think you used another word.
I might have.
Yeah. As for the other nations,
which also come from Adam, you have said that they are like nothing, but be like unto spittle. You have likened the abundance of them unto a drop that falls from a vessel.
that's all the other nations. He literally says, unto the other nations, you liken them, it's nothing but spit. I know that don't sound comfortable, but this is the way he described the other nations. All right. Now, I promise I want to answer this one question that Estra had, and but to answer it, we must read chapter 7, only 10 verses. We're going to read the first 10 verses, but we're going to finish this up and go down and read down that's going to give you that answer. I had alluded to it, and it's one thing that you don't see, and I think this is the thing that you need to see. And I'm glad that those of you that stayed with this for this reading, and because Ezra, 3 weeks, this communication went, at least 3 weeks, back and forth, with him talking to Yah, with him fasting for a week, with him coming back and talking to the angel and going back and forth till he can get this answer. Most of us don't want to last more than an hour, but we want an answer. So this answer is coming. What are you not seeing? It's coming. Verse 57.
And now, O Yahuwah, behold, these heathen, which have you been reputed as nothing, have begun to be lords over us and devour us. But we, your people, whom you have called your firstborn, your Kaid, and your fervent lover, are given into their hands. If the world now be made for our sakes, why do we not possess an inheritance with the world? How long shall this endure?
So he's back to point A. It's like these heathens have taken rule over us. They don't like you. You said they're nothing but spit, and we can't seem to get ahead. Everything's coming to a naught. And so that's why I said you got to read the next, because right now you're on a cliffhanger. We've had all this communication back and forth. We've had from the beginning of time to now, and we're stuck. All right, so let's see. Let's read a little bit more.
Chapter 7. And when I had made an end of speaking these words, there was sent unto me an angel which had been sent unto me the nights before. And he said unto me, Up, Ezra, and hear the words that I am come to tell you. And I said, Speak on, my Elohim. Then said he unto me, The sea is set in a wide place, that it might be deep and great. But put the case of the entrance were narrow like a river. Who then could go into the sea and look upon it, and to rule it? If he went not through the narrow, how could he come to the broad? There is also another thing. A city is built and set upon a broad field, and is full of good things. The entrance thereof is narrow, and is set in a dangerous place to fall, like as if there were a fire on the right hand, and the left a deep water. And there is but one path between them, even between the fire and the water, so small that there could be but one man to go there at once. If this city now were given unto a man for an inheritance, if he never shall pass the danger set before it, how shall he receive his inheritance?
Everybody wants the easy way in. Everybody wants. This is what I was trying not to. Okay, I'm gonna try not to say their title, but this is what people will tell you. If you just say this, hocus pocus, you'll be saved. When Yah says, for his people, you shall go through perseverance, trial. You'll go through struggles. You're going to go through all kind of dangers in order to get in. In the Old Testament, when they came out of out of Egypt, when they traveled, it was a struggle. And sometimes they failed. And sometimes they murmured and complained. But it wasn't, no one walked out of Egypt and straight into the promised land. And y'all showing that there will be that there's a straight and narrow path for us to walk. Let's go. I know we stopped at 10. I gotta read a little bit. We gotta read a little bit more. Yes. I can't hear you. Where's your sound at, then? What did you say? I'm sorry.
I can't just say the sinner's prayer and be saved.
Nope, that don't work here. You'll see. It doesn't. Life does not exist like that. That's somebody's hocus pocus imagination that they just came up with. Literally just came up with a few hundred years ago. This wasn't something that anybody ever did before. Less than 400 years ago, they came up with this. I think it was maybe 300. Someone came up with this whole thing of Just ask Jesus into your life and you shall be saved.
Like in the 40s or 50s.
In the okay, Email says about 40s or the 50s. They came up with this thing, and now it's become, that's all. And because it's so easy, the whole world has accepted it. Where are we at?
Verse 10.
Verse 10. Keep reading.
And I said, It is so, Adonai. Then said he unto me, Even so also is Yisra'el's portion, because for their sakes I made the world, and when Adam transgressed my statutes, then was decreed that now is done.
Okay, so now he's getting ready to break open Pandora's box. He's going to tell you what happened. All right. He said, first, I made the world for Israel. I know. I'm only reading what I'm reading, right? I made, and not for the heathens. And so the heathens, if you want eternal life, if you want to enjoy the rest of the story, then you cleave onto Israel.
12. Then were the entrances of this world made narrow, full of sorrow and travail, but they are few and evil, full of perils and very painful. For the entrances of the elder world were wide and sure and brought immortal fruit. If then...
Okay, so I want you to get this. Before Adam made his calamity, eternal life was broad and wide and easy. He made the calamity and it went from broad and wide to narrow. And the narrowness has not changed. Verse 13, 14.
If then they that live labor not enter these straight and vain things, they can never receive those that are laid up for them. Now, therefore, why disquiet yourself, seeing you are but a corruptible man? And why are you moved, whereas you are but mortal? Why have you not considered in your mind that this thing that is to come, rather than that which is present? Then answered I and said, Yet, O Yahuwah Adonai, you have ordained in your Torah that the righteous shall inherit these things, but that the wicked shall perish. Nevertheless, the righteous shall suffer straight things, and hope for wide. For they that have done wickedly have suffered the straight things, yet shall not see the wide. And he said unto me, There is no judge above Elohim, and none that has understanding above El Elyon. For there be many that perish in this life, because they despise the Torah of Elohim that is set before them. For Elohim has given straight commandment to such as came, what they shall do to live, even as they came, and what they should observe to avoid punishment. Nevertheless, they were not obedient unto him, but spoke against him, and imagined vain things, and deceived themselves by their wicked deeds, and said of El Elyon that he is not, and knew not his ways. But his Torah had they despised, and denied the covenants. In his statutes they have not been faithful, and have not performed his works. And therefore Ezra, the empty are empty things, and the full are the full things. For the empty are empty things, and for the full are the full things. Behold, the time shall come that these tokens which I have told you shall come to pass, and the bride shall appear, and she coming forth shall be seen, and is now withdrawn from the earth. And whosoever is delivered from the foresaid evils shall see my wonders. For my son Yahusha shall be revealed with those that be with him, and they that remain shall rejoice within 400 years.
Okay, so he breaks open the 400 years. You know what this 400 years was, right? You use scripture to scripture. It shows you what that 400 year was. And he says, Yahushua, So this is the second time that Yahushua is mentioned, and this time it's actually naming him Yahushua. And someone would tell you, well, that he's not found in the Old Testament. That's why I said we got to go here. I can't not go here today. When I read through this, I'm like, oh, snap. Twice. Remember the young man standing above everyone else, passing out palms. And they say, who is that? And that's the son, the begotten son of Yahweh. And then he talks about him again here. And then somebody would tell you, well, we're an Old Testament believing whatever. If you only keep the Old Testament, most people that believe in the Old Testament, the Torah, also have these books. Because this is part of the Old Testament. This is the part that was taken out of the book. Don't be deceived. Because there's some deceivers out there that would quickly have you wandering off. And next thing you're like, I don't even believe the book. Now, I started with telling you that the book has been tampered with. And we know that. But that doesn't mean what's in the book is totally to be thrown out. I'm trying to finish. Okay, let me see. We'll stop at 35 because we're at 20 something now.
29. After these years shall my son Mashiach die, and all men that have life.
Okay, so he's right here telling you again, Yahushua will die, right? All right. And all men that have life.
And the world shall be turned into the old silence 7 days, like as the former judgments, so that no man shall remain. And after 7 days, the world that yet awakens not shall be raised up, and shall die that is corrupt, and that shall die that is corrupt. And the earth shall restore those that are asleep in her, and so shall the dust those that dwell in silence. And the secret places shall deliver those souls that were committed unto them. And El Elyon shall appear upon the seat of judgment, and misery shall pass away, and the long suffering shall have an end. But judgment only shall remain, truth shall stand, and belief shall wax strong. And the work shall follow, and the reward shall be showed, and the good deeds shall be of force, and wicked deeds shall bear no rule.
Okay, so we're going to end right there. I just wanted to bring that to your attention that there's a Yahushua. He's found in the Old Testament. He's also, and it also talks about the narrow path and the righteous path, which has been given to us. We know what the righteous path is. Follow Torah, follow his law, statutes, and commandments. We acknowledge Yahushua, but we worship Yahweh because he's the one that has established everything and will establish his kingdom. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done. Hallelujah. I gotta go. Hopefully you had a good day. Hopefully when you read through this text, you'll be able to see what you couldn't see before. What can't you see? Shalom.
Shabbat shalom.
Shabbat shalom.